shit myself, and then I puked up, and I was like crying and laughing at the same time for me mum. I was like, I'm gonna fucking die in here. And if you can envision an animal wounded, howling in pain, that's what my mum sounded like when I told her I'm getting convicted for 5 years. What they are telling me is my son's a terrorist and he's selling weapons. Is this true, Nick? No, Dad, it's not.
Hi guys, welcome back to episode 15 of the Easily Distracted podcast. We're here with Nick Dunn, who's best known for being wrongfully imprisoned in an Indian prison for 5 years. So Nick, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, thank you very much for coming. Look, Nick, let's just dive straight into it. Obviously, you know, your early life and kind of joining the army. So what was that like, you know, growing up?
Growing up, working class family in the 90s, you're always outside, and being a kid, you would sometimes, like say weekends, you would either be at your grandparents or your dad in my case, and you'd be watching the old war films, and I always took a liking to them, and you'd be out playing with your friends, armies, and you'd find a stick, and depending on the length of the stick, thickness of the stick, depending, you know, what kind of weapon you want to choose, that's what you would do. You go, oh, this is a big stick, this will be a machine gun kind of thing, and you'd be just playing armies, and that's what kind of drew me first to want to go down the army route. I think back in them days, Army be the best adverts were always advertised, and it was an incentive to join. Now, you know, I don't think the army has that pull anymore. It certainly doesn't.
Okay, and so you joined, and then you ended up going to Iraq, correct?
Well, my first deployment was South Armagh in Northern Ireland in 2005. Did 6 months there, and then you come back. You know, changing roles as my battalion did. We went to Northern Ireland as one para, and then when we left Northern Ireland, we transitioned into Special Forces Support Group. Still, obviously, will always call myself one para, Parachute Regiment soldier, but we were attached to UKSF for special operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. So, you're learning new roles, doing new training, etc. And then we deployed to Afghanistan in 2007.
And what age were you when you deployed first?
I was 19.
Jesus.
Wow, that's quite young.
Yeah, I was. It's 20 years.
Yeah. How did you feel about, like, as a 19-year-old going out to Afghanistan by yourself, leaving your family? Could be the last time you see them, I guess. That's in the back of your head.
Well, I was 19 when I went to Northern Ireland, but so I was a couple of years later. Still fairly young, early 20s. You know, going to Afghanistan. And when we deployed to Afghanistan was not long after one of the biggest incidents that British soldiers have faced in war zones. Where I think it was the Welsh Guards, where I think 7 or 8 of them died in one sitting, including their commanding officer, which was quite horrific. And I think that kind of got a lot of families in the UK that backs up a bit, because military people don't really tell their families, because you can't really what you're doing on operations. And obviously you had always the Northern Ireland, Iraq one in the early 90s, but and then, you know, Kosovo, etc. But Afghanistan was a big thing. It was all over the news. People coming home in boxes, very upsetting for families. And it's the only time I've ever seen my dad show emotion, when I had to tell him I was getting deployed. My whole family support me through my military career, because it's always something I wanted to do. But in the back of your mind, of course you're apprehensive, of course you're scared, but you're there to do a job.
Yeah.
And that's what you're trained for.
So you saw it as like, you know, I'm going here to do a job, and when you were there, obviously for a 19-year-old, you probably saw more things, way more things, and way crazier things than what a standard 19-year-old is doing. Like usually at 19-year-old, you're still in your bedroom, like just wanking yourself silly, really. Like, to be honest,
yeah,
like it's
true.
So what was kind of like, if you can, or if you want to address, what was the like craziest thing you saw out there?
Well, the heat straight away, the heat difference, the just feel of things, everything's bustly, everything, you know, let's get things done, sorted, you know. But the first thing is, this is where you're staying for the duration. Make it as homely as possible. Normally when we go on deployments, we have our kit box and creature comforts box to remind us of home, to keep us from feeling homesick. You're always going to miss your family. You know what I mean? You're always going to miss your family when you go abroad. Anyone who says they don't, you know, fair play to them. But I tried to put my family distant because I would see that as a weakness. And when you're on operations, you have to be on the ball. You have to be switched on, etc. And you hear, obviously we were doing different operations, so we weren't like the rest of the conventional armies from around the ISAF nations. So we were just doing our own kind of thing, but we would come into like Bastion and see how other units in the British Army and other European ones operate. But it was harrowing, you know, so to speak. As a young lad, you're going to be arse like that at times. Are we going to drive over a mine? Are we going to get ambushed? You know, it's one of those that you're trained for. You know, take the rough.
In that situation, that's your reality, I guess. And you know, you gotta. What you said about the like boxes, you know, you gotta have some sort of like in touch, like objects with humanity, because realistically out there you're not really, you're there like in a sort of bubble where you're just at war all the time, correct?
Oh no, like some places where they go to FOBs, forward operating bases, for those who don't know, they could come under attacks multiple times a day, every day. So every day is getting rounds down. Others could be sat in Bastion and only go out on operations for a couple of weeks at a time, you know, etc. But we were kind of not far away, but we would be operating everywhere. We would be going for strike missions, etc. Basically, we would be the wasp attacking a bee nest. We would become the arsehole. We wanted to go for a fight. That was our role, to weed out the Taliban and ISIS, etc. Taliban, and all the bad guys that would be operating in Afghanistan.
Okay.
We wanted to find where they were and take them out of action. Simple as that.
Okay. So then, you know, this was obviously the beginning of sort of like what then became like a massive nightmare for you. So can you tell us about how it progressed from, you know, you being in the army, you being on tour, to then going and doing private security for these firms?
Yeah, so I did a total of 6 years in the British Army. My final tour, 2009-10, was in Iraq. Quite a lot of people that I served with were jumping ship, so to speak, and going into private security. I believe if that wasn't happening, a lot of people would have stayed and stayed in the British military. But sometimes you just, you know, some jobs are too good to, you know, ignore. People go, you just do it for the money. What do we do any job for? Money, to make sure we've got a better life. And then I just put all my feelers out to try and do the land-based security, like whether it be in Afghanistan, Iraq, or in Africa. But a friend of mine that I served with, he went into the ship security to stop the piracy, and he says, "Do you want to fancy doing that?" Well, I was oblivious to what this was. He says, "It is quite mundane. You're on ships. You'll be on the high seas. You don't know how lonely it is till you're out on the sea." But I got to meet different cultures, different nationalities, and I thought it was interesting going to different countries, which was great. But what happened to me and my colleagues is something that should never have happened. And to think you go out there to potentially stop pirates from hijacking vessels and taking them to the coast of Somalia to, put a ransom. But for us to get apprehended from the Indian government was something that is obviously going to change our lives. And it certainly changed my life.
Yeah.
Do you remember that day really clearly? Like, how did that go down?
I remember it like it was yesterday. And that's not because I'm reliving it by doing these podcasts. That's because of the trauma that it served me. And we were taking on fuel and provisions. That's the only reason why we were there. Fuel and provisions. We weren't going into India. There was a cyclone, so under some maritime law act, you can kind of seek shelter in a neighbouring country. But that's not my job. I was just on that ship, which was the company vessel, as just a passenger. Nothing more. Between transits. Transits is what we call doing the ship security. That's what we name them. And it was night time. Sea was quite still. I said to Paul, the tactical deployment officer, "I'm going to bed. Catch you later." Not too sure what time they came, but we got rudely awakened by Paul saying, "Right, get dressed. We've been boarded by the Coast Guard. We're being brought to the port of Tuticorin." I was like, all right, okay. This happens in this line of work. Corruption is rife. They know what you earn or have a rough idea. It's big money. They all want a slice of the cake. Everyone does. So they'll come up with bullshit stories. "Oh, your passport's frayed. We might not give you the visa stamp." All to get a bit of money. And that's rife. But you do it anyways because you're there to do your job. You don't want animosity. You don't want to end up going down the legal side of things. And we came into the port of Tuticorin in the morning, and from where we were, it should only have taken an hour and a half, but it took a lot longer. The ship was going a lot slower because the Coast Guard had boarded and he was in control of the vessel. This speed, go to port, which kind of rings alarm bells to me. Why we're going so slow? What is this in need of? So yeah, it was quite whoa kind of thing. What's going on? Normally you just want to get with there and see what's going on, don't you? But that wasn't to be.
Wow. Okay. So this is like a situation where you were like boarded out of nowhere for no reason, pretty much. And then what happened after that? After they boarded, what
well, they weren't told nothing. Why we're boarding you? It was, we're boarding you at gunpoint. Get to the port now. We know we're covered legally. Anyone who states differently, were you there? No. Shut up. I was. I know exactly what happened. Everything was legally bound. Weapons, certificates, everything legal. And there was 35 guys, 35 weapons, only 25 of those guys could use weapons. Each weapon had a certificate for different organisations. The 6 out of the 35 weapons were G3s. And you don't think of this at the time, but there were 6 G3 weapons were licensed by BIS, which is a UK government department. Funny enough, there were 6 British. Put 2 and 2 together, come up with whatever wild story you want to, because that's what the police more or less done. And when we got to port, we were welcomed by a very large welcome committee. And I had my spidey sense going tingly like that. I was thinking, this isn't right. There's no way them amount of people, especially when we found out who these people were, could have gotten there in that short space of time. Something wasn't right, but that's in the back of your mind because everything's so bustly and you're getting told keep out the way unless you need to be called upon, like showing passports, etc., your seaman's discharge book, you name it. Different police organisations coming onto our vessel at portside from various parts of India. One as far as Mumbai. There's absolutely no way they would have gotten there if they had just been told. They've been pre-warned. Something's happening. But I can say this now because of how it all pans out. At the time, you're in the dark. You don't know what's going on. You're a bit apprehensive. And then the phone calls start coming from your family. Because we were on the vessel with Estonians. And when different organisations are coming on, we want to see the weapon. We showed the weapons. We showed the certificates. We counted the ammunition in front of them. We also let the company know what is going on. We also let the British government know what was going on. Rumour has it the port authorities denied access to the British delegates. Whether that is true or not, I don't know, but no one saw us portside, and we were there for 6 days. So believe what you want.
They set you guys up. It sounds like they set you guys up.
Well, if you cross the T's and dot the I's and look at the bigger picture, it does look like that. I can put my hand on my heart and say yes.
So they held you there for 6 days, right? Where were you staying at that
That's
point?
not even legal, surely, getting held for 6 days.
But none of this process was legal.
Nothing
in
India needs to be legal.
Yeah.
They can just do what they see
So
fit.
where did they keep you for them 6 days?
On the ship.
On the ship.
Oh. It's the ship itself is an old South Korean, as far as memory serves me, naval vessel, like a Coast Guard kind of ship. So there's plenty bedding, and the ship was overcrowded anyways. I was lucky to have a bed space, a little bunk bed, sharing with my team. I was in a team of 4. But we stayed there after different organisations checking all the documents. The local boys, Q branch, they deemed that they found the weapons, and after 4 days they removed the weapons. So if we were any kind of threat, why did it take us 4 days to remove the weapons? In that duration, the Estonians, on that their families, because it just takes one person to do a little Google search on world news, and it hadn't quite filtered over to the United Kingdom, but the Estonians from their families told us, look what they are putting in their media about us. Transportation of illegal firearms to sell to Tamil tigers, fishermen, a Mumbai-style attack on the nuclear power plant in Tamil Nadu. This is what they are writing about us. You are accusing us of illegal activities. You are telling that I'm a terrorist. How does that make my family feel when that gets filtered? And I've got my dad on the phone telling me, I want you to tell me the truth. Are you doing something naughty? This is my dad here, yeah? This is my dad. And I'm a grown man. And I don't even know why I'm in India, why they haven't told us yet. We're in the dark. What they are telling me is my son's a terrorist and he's selling weapons. Is this true, Nick? No, Dad. It's not. You're lying. I'm sat here with Indians. We have 12 Indians on our ship. And I'm getting branded with my colleagues as terrorists. And that's not a nice thing to be told. This is what the outside world thinks of you. How does that make me feel?
You were getting branded as the same type of people you were eradicating a couple of years before.
Correct.
Which is like crazy. Obviously, you were doing all that stuff, protecting your people.
Yes.
And then now these random people that have just set you up are now describing you as a terrorist. But did you ever feel like you were going to get arrested that day? Did obviously, I know you said your senses were like, this is a bit dodgy. But did you ever think that things would play out the way they did?
No. Being ex-military, you always got to think outside the box. Think of the worst, and if the worst doesn't happen, something good's happening, yeah? But in that line of work, you know how corrupt it is in these countries. Like I said earlier, they want a little bit of money off you. Like, other people have been in incidents, like I mentioned, a frayed passport. We're not going to give you the stamp, and then the mullahs get you to put, how do we make this go away?
So did you guys try that method? Did you guys try bribing them at the end of the day or no?
No.
If you did, would it have been worse?
Potentially, yes. People say if the captain didn't act and go on like a petulant little child, things might have been different. I beg to differ. The captain could have been yes, miss, no, miss, because it was a woman who destroyed our lives. So, yeah, we called her Madam Q Branch. It didn't matter. He could have complied. This was happening. Simple as that. But you don't know at the time because we're kept in the dark. Keep out of the way. Unless you need to, because too many people causes a massive gang fuck, and that's the last thing you want.
Yeah.
So yes, the captain was refusing to speak with the police, which annoyed them greatly. I understand that, but they were here for one reason, to make us an example of, but we didn't know what was. But so during that 6 days, okay, so during what day 1 to day 4, you got all these different organisations. They're coming on. We're showing them the weapons, the certificates, and they're turning around in their droves. There's nothing to be had here, and they're disappearing. And the local guys, Q Branch, obviously were thinking, we look like a bunch of dicks now. We're going to have to fabricate some shit. We're going to have to get something done here. We found weapons. What do you mean you found them? We showed you them. And then the snowball keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Okay, so on that, right? Now they've made these claims against you. Can you walk us through the lack of, or just the legal process that happened after that? So as in, like, you know, these charges have been made, and now the legal process begins. Can you tell us about like any moments where you're like, well, this is this is not the way it should be done, and where you can tell that they were really, really like framing you guys?
Well, we didn't get charges till about 3 months. So unless they held us under some terrorist thing, we never got any charges put on us till about nearly December time, and this was October when it started. October, the 13th.
And I'm presuming you were transferred from the ship at that point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We in the morning of. It's a day that haunts me still to this day. We were told we're going to the hospital for checkup. We're not stupid. What hospital doesn't allow you to take your reading glasses, your wallet, your phone, your belt, your reading glasses? Yeah? We're not stupid. We're military guys. We're not stupid. We know what's happening. They're removing us off the ship. We know where we're going. Paul said, get your uniform on. You're representing the company. Let's act like a professional outfit, because the media's going to be everywhere. The media are at that port gate waiting. And the time difference, the UK would have been 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I knew I would never get my dad out of bed. My sister's the more sensible one. Even she didn't answer phone at first. I did ring her, and then I decided to ring me mum. I wish I never now. But I'm a mummy's boy, what can I say? She was in and out of, sleep. A tablet hadn't kicked in. Maybe because she was a bit apprehensive of what's going on with me. What parent wouldn't? I said, Mum, I love you. They're removing her. They're probably going to put her in prison. I love you, and don't worry about me, I'll be alright. And my mum, back in them days, she wasn't really like a picture took or any recording. And our little voice was a bit groggy. And that's the last time I'll ever hear her voice. Because a few months later, she would suffer a double aneurysm 5 days before Christmas 2013 while I was in prison, which would obviously change my life for the rest of me entirety. It's not something I would ever want to dream about telling my family. It was bad enough saying, I'm going to Afghanistan, but they knew I was in the army. They didn't think a country who's supposed to be an ally of the United Kingdom would apprehend me. That's what my family couldn't grasp. Why is this happening? Why are they lying? And my sister rung back straight away, and I went, shit's gone down, ring the embassy now. I love you, goodbye. And then that was us. Went to the police station. No food, no translator, apart from one of the Indians who worked on the ship, one of the crew. He was local, so he was the translator. We're in a hot, cramped police station, blank piece of paper, sign this or we'll ruin your lives. We've all seen banged up Brits Abroad programmes where they'll put a blank piece of paper and get you to sign it so they can write a fabricated confession. I'm signing nothing. I've done nothing wrong. People might go, why didn't you sign it? You're not very bright, are you? This is what these do. They fabricate stories. I'm already having my family tell me what the media is telling the people. Why would I be signing something?
That's just, oh my God, that's just thinking about that right now. Like, I can imagine being in your shoes, how just horrifying that must have been. Just sat there being like, I've got all these false accusations.
They're telling you that they're going to ruin your life in front of you if you don't sign it. And then they put you in a cell, I presume, from there. And
we left the prison, the police station, to go to the first prison in Tootacoody, called Palamcourty. We got there probably around 11:30 at night. We got off the police bus. 2 armed guards per one person. Yeah. Mental. There was 35 of us. And double them, all crammed on this bus with weapons.
So they had 70 guards
Yeah.
for you.
And they had
35.
weapons, and the weapons were all over the
They're
shop.
trying to stick.
They were really
stick
trying to
the
sell
freight,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really trying to sell it there. Wow.
We weren't even handcuffed or anything. And the way they would drive, like when we were driving, they got the media hanging out, trying to take pictures of where, God knows what their press at the time were. You know, we know what the online media were saying, but it was just horrific. And this prison was built under British rule. And then when they realised there were 6 British coming to their establishment, you could more or less see the prison guards doing cartwheels. Absolutely fucking horrendous. And then when the next morning came, we were all put in this big like outhouse thing with like a hole in the floor for a toilet and a water trough kind of thing. Just lying on the floor, few little sheets. You know, we used what trainers and fold our clothes up kind of thing to act as like some sort of pillar. We were just as we were, you know, no creature comfort, no phone, no nothing. Just the clothes on my backs.
Were they giving you food and water, or?
They gave us a bit of water, and they gave like boiled jack potatoes, which were still hard in the inside. Bit of dal, rice. I'm not fucking eating that, man. I couldn't eat. My stomach was in knots. Because
understandable.
you've got to keep yourself from thinking too much of your family. Because that acts as a weakness. I'm not going to not think of my family, but I can't think of my family at this moment of time. I need to know what's going on. And no one knows what's going on. No one's telling me. But the good thing about the superintendent of that prison, he was they're all educated guys, the superintendents, and he knew we shouldn't be there. But
So, did you have access for like legal representation? Like, what
not
was
at
that
the time.
like?
Not at that time. The
So
next morning.
You didn't even have a lawyer.
No. The next morning, we got told 2 ladies from the embassy came. One from the local consulate in Chennai, the other from New Delhi. And we looked at them and went, "What took you so long? We couldn't get to you." What do you mean you couldn't get? We were in port for 6 days. We're like, what's going on? Do you know what they're telling our families? What are we here for? And they were like, and it just became an absolute gangfuck. And then we were there another kind of night, and then the 23 foreigners of the 35, we were put back on a bus, and we went up to Chennai, to Central Prison, Puzal 2, the remand prison. Well, the Indians stayed in Palamcote. I know the reason why. They wanted to segregate us because they would absolutely ruin their people, and they did. That's why they said, because if we were there, they would see us as protecting the Indians, and the prison couldn't punish them as much. They daren't lift a finger at us. Indian guards would be getting thrown all over, especially when you see some of the Estonians I was with. They're like fucking bears, man. Some of them were born right on the border of Russia, man. You look at them and you thought, fuck me, man.
And they're doing private security.
Yeah.
They're
They were like, my
Probably
God.
mad guards,
Like
bro.
big fucking Russian bears thrown, you know.
just
man.
Khabib as a guy.
Yeah, but we got taken up to Chennai, and we got there at night time, and we were kind of ushered into cells. It was like 10 by 8 cells. There was and then you walk in the cell. It was like a compound, So like cells along. So we were all, the 23 we were all in different cells. Initially I was with one of the Estonians and one of the Brit guys. A couple of the people got taken for interrogation to an unknown place because they were bounded. This is how serious we're. Why are you taking someone, a group of people, to get interrogated when we're all together? To try, probably chuck a bit of fear into things, making things look a bit bad. And then Paul, he came, who was getting obviously interrogated, came and joined my cell. So there was 4 of us in this cramped little cell with a hole in the floor. And when we wake up the next morning, around 6, half 6, the guards would open the gates, and you woke up to this heat, Indian prison heat, and you just were like, but you didn't sleep. You haven't slept in nearly a week because you're like, what is going on here? You've not been eating hardly. Or you're trying to put the family away, and that keeps coming because you're in a fucking prison now with no charges. And you're like, what on earth is going on? What is my family thinking of? That's all I could think of. Couldn't care less about myself. I know I would be okay to a degree. But it's my family that I care more. What are they thinking?
So you're stuck in this prison, and I actually remember, like I've kind of read your story, and you were abused in there, not physically but mentally.
Yes.
So
yes.
They were abusing you mentally. So how were they doing that?
Basically saying you've got bail. There was one time, it was I think a month or a few weeks before we actually got bail. We got bail in April 2014. The jailer came up on his push bike. You got bail, bail, bail. We were like, obviously at that time we had little creature comfort, like, because obviously people, the embassy would bring stuff in, and it was just horrific. We all went down. It was nearly 5 o'clock one evening, all thinking we got bail, expecting the embassy to be down at the entrance. And the superintendent come down and goes, what are you doing? He said we got bail. No, you haven't. Off your pop. And we're like, huh? Because they knew they wouldn't daresn't touch her. You can hit me with a latte stick all day long. I'll go numb eventually. But if you tack the mind, what happens there?
Fuck yeah.
The damage is worse. And that's what they did to us.
At that point, you must have just been thinking, I'm never getting out of here.
Well, it does cross your mind. You think, I've been in, it took a few months before I got any charges. I'm now in this remand prison. You start speaking with other different criminals, so to speak, whether they are. We had Nigerian gangbangers, we had Iranian meth dealers. There was a various different ragtag of criminals, Tamil tigers, and us.
How did it feel like being an innocent man between all those actual criminals?
Horrific. I'm surrounded by the people I stopped, basically, and to have these come up and say, oh, can you get any contacts for weapons? And we're like, what the fuck are you on about? Oh, well, you're transporting weapons? No, we're not. No, we're not. This is what the papers are telling me. And we said, sure, we. And they were showing, we read the English Hindu, which is the English speaking newspaper, and we're reading it, and they were saying that we're transporting weapons. We saw with our own eyes in their own newspapers. And I've got a year and a half, which one of the guys did. I've got it all at home. All the news clippings, all from the newspaper. You know, where the Admiral says, live on TV, we've got them, reference to us. Who do you think we are? Like, we're in a prison. We're having to deal with this on a day-to-day basis. What's going on in the UK? What's going on in the UK with my family?
Yeah, that's you're just imagining that they're reading the same thing and they're thinking that. And that's
It's heavy, man. Like,
that's such a tough place
that
to
is
be.
like your family back at home, just like waiting for everything. It must have been like just.
But they're
so-
reading lies and they're
Exactly.
It's just
I can't speak to my family, only through a letter. My embassy was coming every 2 weeks at one point. They would bring printed letters. And they went, Nick, your family need a response. So at the end of this meeting, because we're legal. So the company did get we're legal, but then they dropped what on we're ours. So we're basically fighting for ourselves. GoFundMe accounts were set up to try and get legal funds. You know, that's where the world come in. More so the people of the United Kingdom donating so we could pay our fucking legal fees to clear our name.
And the company you work for left you
Left
stranded.
word to fucking rot.
Fucking hell. This seems like, I mean, again, if you connect the dots, I agree with you. It seems like there's a lot of things that are just not really adding up, if you know what I mean. And then obviously you were in prison, and I remember you saying you witnessed murders, like you witnessed people getting murdered. in there.
I wouldn't go as far as witness murder, but I definitely saw someone with his throat slit. We were going up. It was nearly a mile and a half. We commandeered a trolley because we used to go and fill like a big urn up of hot water. So the embassy brought a little flask so we could at least have some tea, coffee, drink, you know what I mean? People don't realise tea hydrates you, you know, so it's nice to drink a nice cup of tea and 30 odd 40 degree heat, but hey, it's better than nothing. So we were going up and we were getting stones thrown at us. I remember Nick getting a stone bashed off his head. There were hurling racial slurs at us. Because this is what their media was telling. Mind what I said to you. Staging a Mumbai-style attack. How horrific was that in Mumbai all them years ago? And now their media are saying that's potentially being foiled of happening again.
Yeah.
So these prisoners know no different, and they're reading in their paper, we're the bad guys. So we had to walk nearly a mile up to the kitchen to get our big food supplies because we didn't want to eat rice and dal 3 times a day. I'd have no arse left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true though. Yeah.
Yeah, it does go straight through you.
So we went off Gordon Ramsay. We tried our best to make. I think we gave ourselves fucking food poisoning on one occasion because I've never seen 23 guys go down with a shit in my entire life. I thought I was going to die. I literally, there was in our compound outside toilets because we'll keep the one clean all day for when we get locked up at the night time. And I remember thinking, oh, gurgly belly, I need to go to the toilet. And I was hobbling to the toilet because it really hit were bad. And obviously you're dehydrated and you're lethargic. And I remember I shit myself and then I puked up. And I was like crying and laughing at the same time for me mum. I was like, I'm gonna fucking die in here. Like, I've never seen grown men fucking suffer in my entire life. What the fuck just happened to us? We all went to shit. But we all recovered. One of the Estonians had a freaking stomach ulcer and all sorts. Like, our health was getting neglected. We're losing weight. We're hardly eating. biscuits from the prison shop now and again. 1 meal a day, which was like a stew. Like, in that climate, and you're worrying, so you stress more. And when I stress, I don't eat. Like, one of the Estonians, you could see all these fucking bones, man. He was a skinny guy anyways, but that's how much they were pushing were mentally. And
India already has a terrible rep for hygiene, but you go to an Indian jail, I can't even imagine. Like, was there, rodents about?
oh yes. I've got a very funny rat incident. We're in Wasell playing battleships. You sunk my battleship. So we're drawn out and we're like, A5, miss, bastard. So I was sat at the back window, because that's where my bed space. So if you think about it, you look one lad opposite and then three along one wall, and then the toilet opposite me. And there was a little bit of a breeze that night, but earlier that evening when we were playing battleships, a rat kind of came to the door, and I went, rat. He was trying to get in, and then scarpered. So we made sure if any like food, would try and hide and hang up somehow. And then at night time, I just thought it was a bit of like, because it was a little bit breezy, I just thought it was a bit of breeze on my feet. I was like, oh, I don't like my feet touched, so I knew something wasn't right. And I went over to my left, and I felt something, and I opened my eyes, and I was face to face with this rat. I fucking shit myself. I went, fucking rat! And I jumped over Roman, who was the Estonian lad next to me. Billy had sat up, it battered off Billy, and then it just out the door and escaped. Paul went, what was that? A rat. He went, oh, fuck this. And we were like that. We had to barricade the door more, from a certain height, but rats are very cunning.
These just your standard rats, or?
Oh, these rats, because the Indians just throw food. If you give something enough food, it will grow. These rats were borderline the size of cats. There would be a cat-rat standoff at some point. That's how big they were getting, the rats. And as we all know, rats carry disease. We already saw this black and orange spider that one of the lads killed. There was cobra snakes getting killed by the Indians. They would have to take them down to the jailer to get permission to eat them. Oh yeah.
There were snakes just in the complex.
Yeah, well, yeah, cobras. Just and yeah, there might be little ones. It's a fucking cobra.
Yeah, it can kill you.
Like when I see it, when medical care was getting neglected, you had the guards, and we got rudely woken. But what's that? Moaning and groaning. What's that now? One of the Estonians, like I said, had a stomach ulcer, and he was in agony. God. And then you're trying. Then he could hardly speak English. He cannot speak English, and you're trying to see to get the ambulance. And I see this. If someone seriously got bad to the point where they would literally drop down dead, or need an ambulance, you'd be dead before the ambulance turn up.
That's crazy.
For my freedom, it took a man to nearly die. That's how far they pushed us.
So you're already stripped of your humanity in this prison, and then obviously you're there fighting all of these other things like these rats and cobras and spiders, and I assume you're never going back to India ever again.
I'm not allowed back in India.
Okay, yeah.
I think that was quite clear when it came to me coming home, where I had to change my flight time, flight details.
I mean, I guess there's worse places to be banned from. In your case, you got in prison there.
I always wanted to go and see the Taj Mahal. That's the only reason why I wanted to ever go to India. That was it. But even the Indians warned us off. They went, it's not as nice as you think it is. It's actually stinking. It's actually, they don't look after it.
It's crazy. It's one of the wonders of the world, and it's not even looked after.
It was.
That's not
It was
good.
built by one of the emperors for his wife. I think it took like 30 or 40 odd years to build or something.
You know, you said it almost took a man to die before you got your freedom.
Yes.
Was anyone actually, thinking about killing themselves or suicide in there?
The chief engineer tried to kill himself twice.
Fuck.
Tried to hang himself.
What, in the same cell as you guys?
In the first ever cell kind of thing, but then obviously we kind of did a little bit of suicide watch. But then when we got into his cells, it was left to your own devices kind of thing. But I think once the rest of the guys explained to him a little bit more, it came a bit. He was cuckoo, absolutely off his rocker. This is what I'm saying. Prison time, especially when you're innocent, can change you, not just physically but mentally.
What do you say you've taken out of it?
I've taken from my experience that never give in, but it can come at a cost of how far you need to be to get into that mindset. I know for me to be where I am today on this seat, I've had to sacrifice and lose a part of me.
So what kept you going in there?
The main thing was me mum. Like I say, in the first prison, when the embassy came, on one occasion they said to one of the lads, "Can you stay behind?" And then after the meeting, the embassy spoke to him, came back and he went, "Oh, my family's coming." I went, "Oh, that's great." And it was leading up to Christmas, and they went, "Nick, do you want to stay behind?" Oh, I was like a Cheshire cat. I was buzzing my tits off. I was like that. You know what I mean? And then my world just fucking crumbled. It crumbled. Because I looked at Sharon, the embassy girl, and her whole demeanour just changed. She went, "I'm sorry, Nick, I can't do this. There's a letter from your sister. Can you read it?" To this day, I don't even know if I've got the letter still. I think I might have ripped it up in pain. But I can't even remember. It's all right, don't worry, she's all right. And my sister basically said, 5 days before Christmas, your mum was in the hairdresser's getting her hair done for Christmas, and she collapsed. She suffered a double aneurysm, and she had to have immediate brain surgery. My sister came out in March. My birthday is March the 1st. She came out to visit me. So I've got this letter, and at the time it was nearly a mile walk from the jailer's office where we had our meetings to our compound, and my life just ended. All I could think of was, I can't do this. My little man lying in a hospital, and I'm in a fucking prison for a crime I've not committed. What do I do? And I'm walking back, tunnel vision, holding this letter, walking back in my flip-flops, dragging my feet. I'm getting abuse hurled at us, stones thrown at us. That didn't mean fuck all to me, that pain. The pain I was going through. And I'm battling this red mist of fury. And I was like, just let it consume me. Let it consume me, so I can just eradicate these fucking horrible creatures and just die. But I went, no, because if you do this, everyone suffers. Your mum wouldn't want that. So I had to dig deep, and I got to the compound, and Paul was walking, and I broke down. He took us away, and he said to us, I said to him, "Paul, I can't do this." He says, "You're a fucking paratrooper, you can." remember what you are. You will get through this. And I'll never thank him I'll never forget what he said. He spurred me on. He got me to unlock that fire to keep going. And then that was it. The rest was history. Like, I had to keep going. Every wall I got to, smash it down, climb over it, find a way. But it gets harder and harder as the time goes on. When you feel like, why am I still here? Because in their court, it goes at a snail's pace. They would just delay tactics. Delay. Prosecution not turn up. 2 weeks. What would happen in the UK court if the prosecution didn't turn up? A temporary prosecutor or case thrown out in India would just delay 2 weeks.
So your story is one of mental fortitude, and that's pretty clear to see. Obviously, it's very, very, like, I've learned quite a bit just by sitting here and listening to you about, mental fortitude, as I said. Did things get worse before they got better after that? Because in that situation, you think, surely it can't get worse than this. Obviously, you've heard about your mum, and then, you're still in this, like, absolute shithole of a prison. Did things get worse, or did they get better from that point on?
Well, a lot of the time it was just sitting around, waiting and finding out. Obviously, we had our legal team. We got the best lawyer in our field money could buy. And she took our case on as a, we couldn't afford her. So it was like, we had her on tick at the time till we got a GoFund set up. And I will say this now, and I've said this since I got back. I thank every single person who supported me and the guys. Everyone who put £1, 50p, you name it, to that fund. You paid our legal fees. You got my freedom. But it comes at a price. Not just the Queen shilling, but at the time. But, it took, like what you said, mental fortitude to get by the days. Some days it would be Groundhog Day. Then you'll be getting information from your embassy, information on legal, and then you were back to square one. It was 1 step forward, 10 back. But then, as April came, we got bail. The superintendent had to come to our compound because, like I said, the jailer lied previously. He had to kick us out of his own prison because we wouldn't believe him. And then when they were... when you see the embassy there, you know it's real. And we got out. There was a massive... It wasn't just straightforward. I can't remember the full details of our bail conditions, but they were... A lot of money was exchanged, apparently. And a lot of assurities was put in place in case they decided for us to disappear. We had to sign bail twice a day. I think it was like 10:30 in the morning and again at 8 o'clock at night. We're put in the hotel, and then the company decided to not pay the bill. So we had to vacate, and then it became on my family. And everyone's amazing support. Because people might just think, oh, wait, the government paid for your hostel. No, they didn't. They did it for 6 weeks. But after that, it was down to my family and everyone's amazing support. No help from the British government. They didn't put me up in a hostel. So if any Brit abroad thinks, oh, I'll get the British embassy to come and save us. No, you won't. The only way they'll stop and intervene is if you're going to get the death penalty. That's where they can stop things. But that doesn't mean they can definitely stop you, depending on the crime. But I'm out of prison. Yeah, there was a bit of media, local, and I had to send a picture, and I didn't realise how much I lost in weight. I look at that picture now, and I think, wow, I look like a total different person.
How long had it been since you looked in a mirror?
6 months. Wow. No mirrors in there.
6 months, and you do it like 6 months not knowing what you look like.
You might see a bit of like a reflecting on a clean bit of metal, but or there might have been a mirror in the JAILED office. I can't really remember, but you didn't. You knew you were getting skinnier because when you were lying on the floor, you'd be like, my bones digging in kind of thing. But you didn't realise till you saw a picture. And my sister gave me that gentle reminder when I came out the second time, when we got convicted. So there was a bit of media. Got to the hotel. Like the company come out to, we'll put them in a hotel, you know, try and take glory. Leeches. Got to speak to me family. Got to see me mum. And then I realised she can't speak. Very limited anyways. When she's had a double aneurysm, she's had to learn everything again. I can't really use her right side now. Can't lift her arm. And when she speaks, sometimes she'll bang out a sentence crystal clear. The other time, it's gobbledygook. And that breaks me. Most recently, it was my birthday in March, and she couldn't even say my name. That's the effects of what has happened. If my mum had an aneurysm under different circumstances, I probably wouldn't be as this distraught. I'd still be upset, still distraught, but it's the nature of how it's all happened. That's what haunts me and pains me. But I'm out of prison. Good, isn't it? Out of prison, signing bail. I'll jump through that fucking hoops as long as I'm not in a prison. Getting a Skype, me family. Most kids these days don't even know what Skype is, probably, do they? But yeah, Skype. Using the lobby computers, because all of our belongings were still on the ship, for a year and a half, to get me boxer shorts back. It's evidence. I want me fucking underwear. Yeah, and that was 9.5 hours away. All our belongings was left on the ship. Laptops, phones, you name it. We'll put all our electrical stuff away in case. But our bags were being rummaged. My bags was rummaged because I knew fine well I shut it. Put a little padlock on. That was busted. So imagine if they didn't find electrical goods. They weren't looking good enough. But yeah, we're out of prison. What should get worse? The fact that July comes, and this is where I really will say the British government failed. Other than that, embassy-wise, what they've done for my family and this, that, and the other, I'll say thank you so much. But July 2014, in the High Court, case got partially quashed. The only charges was the procurement of illegal diesel, apparently. And that was for the ship captain and crew, not us. Because it kind of changed, because we had two charges kind of thing, but they changed ours slightly, I think, if I remember. So we just had illegal weapons. This is crazy, isn't it? 35 guys, but 25 can only use the weapons. 35 weapons, but only 6 were illegal. 6 of those weapons were British. How many British was on that boat? 6. Dotting the I's and crossing the T's, yeah? something's not adding up. But you don't pick these things up at that time. You're oblivious because you've got something good. Communication with your family. That's just I'll sign and jump through your hoops, no problem. But in July, the embassy went, because the police they've got a 90-day period. So case quashed, 90 days to appeal to Supreme Court. I got 2 confirmed letters of Indian law stating during the 90-day process, we do not need to remain in India. And this is Indian law that my lawyers gave me. I got it printed off, signed by them. I had pictures of my mum in hospital with tubes coming out of her head and everything. And I thought, I'm going to police headquarters. I'm going to see the woman that destroyed our lives, face to face, one-on-one. I just rocked up. I've never seen a bunch of police running around like headless chickens. Because why does a white foreign person know who Q Branch is? Oh, they saw us. And I could see them all look identical with their tashes. Smirking, sliming, thinking, look at you. I was like, I'm not playing to your tune. You were holding us illegally. More so now, on this 90-day. And we'll let the courts decide. She wasn't even interested. Couldn't care. Disinterested. Evil woman. And like I say, the British Embassy, we had this meeting. Came from New Delhi as well. Had the meeting in the consul building. We went, get us home. Oh, it's not as easy as that. Do a passport or request to get them back because they belonged to the Queen at the time, obviously. It's a government document. You can do get back on diplomatic visas or whatnot. We don't believe the Indians will appeal, the lady from New Delhi said, and we just went, right, okay, neighbour, okay, let's play the game. So you've got 3 months. No one's putting money in my back pocket apart from lovely, kind, amazing people and family. Paid for me hostel. I was like 30 quid a week. Hey, I'm not earning no money. I'm not getting paid. I'm still owed a 6-figure sum in wages alone. Not getting nothing. This is my roof over my head is coming from the kind people donating. Oh, Nick, because I request getting a bank card. Because, oh, Nick, give us your bank details. I'll chuck 100 quid in. Nah, mate, don't. 150's in. You know, I'm bubbling down the phone to some random person. Because they want to help. Because they see the plight we're in and they know we're innocent. And I can't thank enough of them people that did that. And it's the last week. And you're like, wow. If they don't appeal in day 90, that's it, game over. No. Like you say, mental. Day 88, they lodged an appeal to Supreme Court. And because we are battling against the police, our worlds came crushing down again. Our embassy staff, our legal team said they've lodged an appeal and the courts have accepted it. And we went, of course they have. Of course they have. We just went, well, we've been dealing with this for 6 months. We're used to it. Yes, it's smashed with morale a bit, but I was just thinking, what about my family? We've had that little glimmer of hope to come home, and now it's just gone further away. Now they're starting the legal. But a year and a half of being out of prison, not signing bail, just, living. I was going to the gym and all that, and I was lying, saying I'm a gym influencer, going around, and then the clock cottoned on to why I'm still in one place in India. And I came true. I said, oh, blah, blah, this, and they went, don't worry, we know you're not guilty. And this is Indian people saying, oh, I was in the gym, don't worry, we know you're not guilty. Don't worry. And he says, our country, police state, they run the show. Corrupt. And this is Indian people telling me this about what goes on in their own country. I had Indian people in the UK. My sister's local shop. He would be slamming. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry what my country's doing to your brother. There you go. Have that for free. Amazing. Absolutely, truly amazing. Just little things like that makes a big impact, because it shows not everyone is the same. There is kind and goodness in the world, even from the country that's trying to destroy me. And yeah, life just goes on, and next minute time's going on, money's getting spent that's not coming in. It's becoming a financial burden on my family. I have to get out of here. I got into contacts with trying to escape India. I had to get to Mumbai. I spoke with my family. It was going to cost $5,000. I said, for something as risky as this, I will pay half up front. I want my passport with a visa stamp when I get there. And I was thinking how to get to Mumbai from Chennai. That's about 18 hours on the fucking train. I whinged just going from Newcastle to London. Never mind on an Indian train. I don't know whether to stand on the roof or hang off the railings outside like the rest of them do. And I told my family, and my family was supported. They supported me on this. And then the penny dropped. I went, if I get caught, they're going to use this against me. Why is he running? If you claim you was innocent, why are you running? And I said, look, I can't do it. Obviously, I've been going to the gym. I'm eating chicken. I'm eating biryani, which is just chicken and rice. I'm going to the gym. I'm putting a bit of size back on again. I've got tattoos. Most people in India who've got tattoos are criminals. And the henna tattoos are for the actors. Maybe they might get the odd real tattoo, but most Indians don't wear tattoos. And I stood out like a sore thumb. And I made the decision to just shit can it. I thought the risk is far greater than the reward. Sometimes you've got to think of others before yourself, and that's what I end up doing. I said, if I get caught, I'm fucking it up for everyone, and that's not me.
So what happened after the appeal?
Well, it goes up to Supreme Court. So we had our lawyer, and we became a split fraction. The Estonians got their lawyers. Indians, the police had their lawyer. The problem with India, they have a caste system. Obviously, they couldn't be bothered communicating with each other to sing off the same song sheet. Not that would be lying. The judge goes to the Indian police, blah blah blah. They say, oh blah blah, and full just chat shit and lie. Say to us, why were you there? to procure fuel, diesel, and provisions. Nothing more. 'Cause that's all we were there. Right, okay. Because the Estonian lawyer had a higher caste, they already knew what we were going to say anyways. The judge went, so then, why were the men there? Why was the ship there? He turned around and words to this effect, I don't know why the ship was there. I'm just here because they're innocent and they're just on the ship as passengers. Well, he stopped listening as to after he went, I don't know why they were there. So basically, the police are saying one thing, we're saying another, and the lawyers, and they're saying another thing. That's three different things. The judge is like, we need a trial. We need a trial. And we're going to have a trial.
You know, the trial. So, you know, now you have to go to trial.
Yeah, the trial is back where it all began. And that is the courts that the police run. So I had obviously met a girl, and you know what an amazing woman she is. When I was out there, and I was staying in Chennai, a few of the guys, they moved down to Tuticorin for to be at the trial, and I wasn't prepared to travel 9.5 hours every time. But if the judge wanted us there, we had to be there. But I asked, do I have to be here every single day? And they went, no. I went, great. Just let us know when we have to all be there. We'll get information from the guys. They would either email one of us, so I could say to Roman, who was in charge of the Estonians per se. So everyone is singing off the same song sheet. There's no spin put onto it. It's not, you know, because you don't want some story heard from one person and a different one from another. Everyone, we're all in this together. We're all deserve to be told exactly the same. Because not everyone can read English. The court wasn't even in English. It was in Tamil. And when it was the trial, we had the Christmas recess, so we had the Christmas off. So we've done all the trial. The lawyers from our legal team went, we've done everything. When you stand there in a court and you get translated, where our legal team is cross-referencing the prosecution, and people like gave evidence, like the collector of evidence. When he stands there in a court of law and says, if I'd seen the ballistics experts report to say the weapons were not illegal, I wouldn't have put the charges on the men. That made me violently ill, because it didn't matter what you said in that court. They were going to just take the original statement anyways. That's perjury where we come from. He's lied in a court of law. Didn't matter. And I went, I've had enough. I'm not coming here ever again unless the judge wants me. So we had the Christmas recess. We come back and we named Judgment Day. Donkey Kong races. Let's go. The 10th of January 2016. The day our lives are all changed again. And it was so hot. You got this court where at the back bench, you got down our right, if you're looking at the judge, front and centre, prosecution down the left, our legal side, embassy down the right, and the judge's assistant said something. Madame Q Branch didn't know how quick to get her flip-flops out of that courtroom. She was off. Our embassy, who are local, that's how you build a rapport. They were out straight on their phones to New Delhi. And I tell you what, I've seen some scary things in me time, and I've seen the look on children's faces, especially from Iraq and Afghanistan. I've never seen a man shitting himself as our lawyer did when he had to come and tell a lot of men they are not going home. And he went, and we went, what come on, what's happening? He went, 5 years. Well, what? 5 years weapons offences.
Fucking hell.
How the fuck am I meant to tell my family this? How am I meant to tell my family this now? Obviously, I rang my dad. I said, Dad, it's not good. We're going to prison for 5 years. And he's like, but the weapons are fine. They're legal. I went, Dad, it doesn't matter here. That's what you got to realise. And then my sister rang us back. I went, you need to get the mams now. You got the media. My sister says you're on loudspeaker. And if you can envision an animal wounded, howling in pain, that's what my mum sounded like when I told her I'm getting convicted for 5 years. Screaming down the phone in agony. That's what my mum sounded like, and that crushed me immensely. That just took me to a new level of pain and suffering. And then we got carted off. I told my ex-partner as well. She was bubbling down the phone. I said, look, can you go to my hostel room and pack me belongings and give it to the embassy, please? And then every day from January to March, she was trying to get into prison to see us, and the prison wouldn't let her. Even though she had legal documentation from the British government to allow her to see me, they refused her entry. Till the embassy came and brought her in with my sister when she came to visit me. We got carted off, and we had to go for another bus ride from Tuticorin up to Chennai, but we went to the prison next door. We travelled through the night. We had as you lads will know, a tyre blowout from me last week. Yeah, we had a bus tyre blowout.
Fucking hell.
I was thinking we're not even gonna make it alive. So instead of like a 9.5 hour journey, it took about 14.5. We were shattered. Our lives were just crumbled. All I could think of was my family. I couldn't put them behind. I couldn't. It was front centre. My family, my mum, most importantly. What was my family thinking of? But yeah, you have to do it. You've got to crack on. You've got to fight through the pain, the anguish. You've got to take yourself to another level of mental resilience. Rise above it. And I don't know how I did it. I didn't do it alone. I had people from Canada, America, Australia, France, various places in the United Kingdom writing to me when I was in prison. And I thank all of those people from the bottom of my heart. You got me through it. I wanted to throw the towel in so many times after that. My sister would come and visit us in prison on my birthday. And it got to 2017, and I was fucked. To be blunt, I was fucked. I was writing in me letters to my sister, and you see me dad. He's getting on. He's 79 now. I said, I need to see me dad. I'm not going to see me mum. She's too ill. I need to see me dad. And my sister was like, I can't bring him. You know, he's getting old. Said, you need to bring him, or I'm not coming home. I was fucked. I was lower than snake's belly. I needed that extra injection of hope. And we built our own little prison in the through tree branches, bed sheets and slabs. We built our own little prison gym under a mango tree, in our courtyard kind of thing, in our compound in the prison. And one of the Indians came up and he went, parcel. I went, oh, he goes, no, you have to sign for it. So I put a vest on and I went down to the jailer's office. Paula was getting a parcel, so I knew the mailman had came. I walked into the jailer's office. I went, jailer, where's my parcel? And my sister jumped out from behind his desk. I froze, bubbling. Jailer was bubbling. Me and my sister giving myself a cuddle. And I knew from me when my ex-partner used to come in, they didn't like were touching, so the guards would stop cuddling. Because obviously you'd try and cop a feel of your lass, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Fucking rights I would. Come here, you. I haven't felt a woman's bosom in a long time. And I was felt the tap on the shoulder, my shoulder. I went, oh, get off. And next minute I got spun round. And my dad was there. He was hid behind the door. And I just broke down. I thank him for my sister bringing him there, because he got me through it. He gave that visit of my dad and my sister in March, got me to that finish line. We didn't know it, but we were going through the courts. Our case was stuck at the High Court. They refused to hear it. Like, have you ever heard of that in the UK court? The judge refusing to make a decision. And as I said, they pushed us and it took a man to nearly die for our freedom. The captain had bone cancer. We wanted him to die gracefully with his family in a private hospital, because that's what it looked like. He was about to drop down dead. So call it a red herring, so to speak. His case went all the way up to Supreme Court, and who heard his case? The Grand Judge of all of India. And he went, why are these people still in my country? Get them out now. I want a decision within 2 weeks. A week later, we got a decision.
Fucking hell. And it literally, that's what it took for you guys to get out of prison.
It took a man to nearly die for my freedom and all of our freedom. That's how far they pushed us.
Wow. And then when you got that freedom, that feeling, I can't even imagine how you felt when you heard that.
It was surreal. We've been mentally messed all this time. And you didn't, like I said with the jailer, you didn't want to believe it. And when we got down, when it came to the day of us leaving, we got the decision where it was case acquitted. Case acquitted means wrongful imprisoned, wrongful arrest, wrongful. We shouldn't have been convicted, but we were. And the next day, the embassy were there waiting for us at the prison to take us away home. To see them at that entrance, I was the happiest man alive. And obviously you've got to do the paperwork, the last roll of the dice from them to piss off basically. And it got to the picking the flights after we got my stamps, and like I said earlier, I had to change my flight details because I didn't want to wait in Dubai for about 6 hours. I saw the connection an hour and a half, and the embassy consular said, you need to leave now, get out. So yeah, we got kicked out of the country because of everything that happened. And it was great. I will thank Emirates for their hospitality on the plane. Every night and for 4 years, I thought of nothing more than what it would be like to come home.
And you land in rainy England.
Well, it was December. It was fucking freezing. It wasn't rainy, thank God for that. But we landed at Newcastle Airport. I hadn't slept in a week. Had to spend 6 hours in Dubai with no phone signal. Because everyone who's been to Dubai knows you can get a phone Wi-Fi. I couldn't. I've never drank Americano so slow in my entire life. I think it lasted about 6 hours. But I was knackered. I'd not slept in like a week. But I was very apprehensive in coming home. We arranged with Newcastle Airport on how did I just want a back door, did I want a full-blown welcome home. I wanted to show the world that innocent men were involved in a corrupt case and unlawful arrest, you name it. And I wanted to say thank you to everyone's amazing support. I'm innocent. I don't want no backdoor meeting. I want to show people that I'm an innocent man and I'm coming home. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, walking through them doors at Newcastle Airport. Coming to land, the captain shake me hand, welcome home. The baggage handler clapping, I nearly fell down the stairs because I was so overwhelmed. And then because I was the last person to get off the plane, and I looked, and all the people on the plane were sat on the bus there, and I was like, sorry, and they went, because they knew. A few people looked at us and went, welcome home, but no one came near me. I had long hair, looked like a fucking scruff. I was like, I got into the airport. A lady from Newcastle Airport picked me up. They must have jumped on that plane, the baggage handlers, and found me bag, because my bag was by the carousel before everyone else's. And I had to go through the doors. And I always remember the airport staff, she said to us, Nick, I have to leave you because this is your journey now. Welcome home. And she walked away, and I went, what the fuck? And we got these doors, and I went to stand, and I froze. People from the other plane were coming, and they opened it, and I just stood there in shock. All the media was down the right, friends and family, banners, welcome home. And I seen a wheelchair, me mum, in the shutter game, and I was like, pay company wasn't as this hard. And that was hard, but what I'm trying to do now is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. People think, well, how, Nick? This is amazing. You don't understand. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, walking through them doors. And I went to do it, and it opened again, and my dad was talking to my sister, and she collared us. He's there. And if anyone's seen the video of me coming home, it's easy to find on YouTube. You see me and my sister come to each other like two magnets. Amazing. Absolute tremendous. The support, even from the media. Yes, they all wanted the story, but how they handled it was great as well. But everyone that came to show their support, and to see me mum for the first time. I left in September 2013. I was at my mum's when I was waiting on my flight tickets, and then I come home to stay in a wheelchair after nearly dying. In a space of 4 years, my world had just been totally destroyed. Yes, she's alive, but I haven't got no memory of her talking because she didn't like videos. I've got nothing. So I will always say to people, make memories, record them memories, because you don't want to be like me. who've got no memories. I would sell my soul to the devil just to be able to speak to my mum. That's how much it means to me. And I mean that.
Gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, that. Nick, thank you so much for sharing your story, and kind of. Still,
I hope you viewers take something from this and apply it to your own lives, because Nick's gone through 10 times more than any of you will ever imagine, and he's came out the other side of it. So please do take something from this.
It has left some scars.
Understandably.
It's made me who I am today, and I can't change it. I can't change it. Yes, my mum's alive, and I'm in a massive debt to my sister. She was even nicknamed Small and Mighty because she became a thorn in the government's backside. She fought not just for me, but every single one of us. Yes, the other families did it, but my sister had to take time off from work to deal with what happened to me mum, to deal with the media, and to deal with me.
What a legend she is as well for doing that. Not many people would do that,
Not many people have got the family that I've got, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful for everyone's amazing support as well. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. I really do.
Thank you so much,
That's a
Nick.
good place to end it.
I'm going to need a little bit to process that. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for travelling down from Newcastle to come and see us.
We're going to leave Nick's book in the description, so make sure to go buy that support.
Look at it right there in the middle. We got it front and center.
That's on Amazon, so we'll leave that in the description. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, guys.